It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports,
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. That's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
Just use AMP-Pace.
AMP-Pace.
With Ease US, make studio quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US. Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at ulike.com, because at U-Like, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ULIKE.com. U-Like.
Hi, I'm Mitch, the co-founder of Cake, a sexual health and wellness company designed for today and designed for you. Yes, you. The entire product line can be found at hellocake.com, and it's also available in every Walmart near you.
Send money abroad in just a few steps with Remitly. Sign up with your email, enter an amount, choose how your loved ones receive the money, enter your recipient's information, select a payment method, hit send, and relax. Download the Remitly app today.
Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Whether it's sports, theater, or concert, for the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. Ticket Liquidator.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated. Each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Hello, everybody. It's the Pete Sousa Show. We are live in Flower Mound, Texas. Cam Stuart is in Boston, Massachusetts. Chris Visser is somewhere in Orlando, almost 100% recovered from a little bit of a bug he picked up at the Super Bowl. We collectively together probably walked like 30 miles in 2.5 days, for me at least, longer for those guys. And Chris came home and we're not going to call it like Montezuma's revenge, because I think everything was intact as far as that was concerned, but he was bedridden and fought through it like a guy from Western Massachusetts fights through stuff. I mean, I spent a lot of time in Springfield, and it's gritty. You don't end up playing big time high school basketball at the Boston Garden for no reason. And that's our boy, Chris Visser, one of our favorite guys on planet Earth, who gifted us these amazing spotting boards from Dick Stockton. This is the Super Bowl board. Bad luck for me and I guess Cam, because the last time the Patriots, the last time the Patriots played the Eagles in the Super Bowl, the Eagles won. But this was when the Patriots won in 2005. I hate to say this, but I digress. We are presented by Slovacics, Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, as a big part of this. Sikora Family Ford, been riding with us since day one. Crawford Austin Properties, First National Bank of Central Texas. Everybody that's on board with us, we greatly appreciate it. We have some new sponsors who we need to kind of make sure the ink is dry first before I start parading around town saying how great they are. But we appreciate everybody who is doing the thing with us. No guest today. I reached out to one person. We had a piece of developing news overnight into this morning that we're going to start the show with. I reached out to Drake Toll to talk about it. Drake is on a Savannah Bananas land cruise, which like only Drake Toll. Drake Toll's the only guy who I could ask to come on the show last minute and who could respond with a no, but could literally make me laugh out loud. I can't read the text because it wouldn't be fair. But it's what's funny, dude. He's on a Savannah Banana land cruise, and bad service, whatever. But make sure you check out Drake, Locked On Big 12. That's why he's a great guy to talk to about Big 12 situations that we're going to dive into here in a second. Some serious news. You want to stay tuned to listen to this story. And also Drake, of course, Westwood One every morning. You can find him all over your radio dial, or all over the country on your radio dial, and of course on YouTube and all that good stuff. Westwood One, a powerhouse with Armand Williams and Drake Toll and Bruce Gilbert and Jim Rome. I mean, come on. But now you get to spend time hanging with us. And we're going to talk about this first serious issue. Then we're going to lighten it up. We're going to talk about ways to save NBA All-Star Weekend. And then I got to talk about Jerome Tang, man. It's a fascinating subject in my book. There was an article that came out last week or earlier this week, which I don't believe is true at all. But people are, honestly, and I know I'm living in the Big 12 bubble maybe, but all the Jerome Tang coverage is a reminder that Kansas State basketball really is, I don't want to call them a powerhouse, but like is very relevant in the college basketball universe. And there's just a lot of noise around this situation. Some teams, like I'll give you an example. And this is not a knock on Cincinnati, or maybe it is, but Cincinnati can just suck and they kind of go away. Kansas State, when they suck, like it gets like people are restless, people are vocal. They have a big time, very passionate fan base. And boy, they definitely, they give a what. And after 1 year making it to the Elite Eight, and he was the darling of college basketball, coach of the year, and now it's like, I don't know that it can get much worse. We've got legal trouble. We've got losses by 30 points or more at home. We have people wearing garbage bags on their head. Every single press conference that Coach Tang shows up to, it's another like viral, because the guy wanted to be a preacher before he even found basketball, or maybe after he found basketball, but he thought he was going to be a preacher certainly before he found coaching. And so he's got that fire and brimstone in him, but he also has, I don't want to say, he never looks like a deer in headlights, but he looks like he's sad, and so we're going to talk about Coach Tang, but and then we're going to talk about how to fix the All-Star game. I think I mentioned that already. I have 3 ways to fix it, but when I was searching for ways to fix the All-Star game and All-Star weekend, I think the big story that you can take from it is that I couldn't find any ways to fix it yesterday, and this was not us. I will say this, and I may want to bring Cam in just to get things started. I listened to a fascinating, now I'm going to plug every show in the universe outside of ours, but whatever. I listened to a fascinating conversation yesterday. Bill Simmons had Nick Wright on his show. Now, I used to be a Bill Simmons every morning. I got to listen every morning. I used to refresh, before the podcast world became, just overflowing with great content like this show here. There was only like a couple of real tent posts, right? And Bill Simmons was one of them. And, as early or as recently as, let's say 6-7 years ago, I was one of those people who would refresh waiting for his pot. It's not like that anymore. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And I don't put any of them really on Simmons. I don't. Yesterday was a great example of where, my spot with Bill Simmons and where I find myself happiest is when he has guys like Nick Wright on, when he has guys like Chuck Klosterman on, or when he has like a guest that he's been trying to get for a while. He had a run where his show was like celebrity interviews for a long time. And that's kind of going away. But when he has the philosophical talks with guys like Klosterman or Nick Wright, I really enjoy it. And yesterday, he and Nick Wright were talking about the NBA, how much trouble it's in, or at least the regular season. And they talked about the All-Star weekend and what could change it. And Nick Wright, I know his wife is black. I don't think he gets a pass on this, but Nick Wright, he said there should be white guys versus black guys in the All-Star game. And he said we're actually at a point in time where like that could actually, like with Con Knipple playing well, like that could be interesting. And Simmons was like, oh no. But it's like, honestly, it takes stuff like that to get people excited. Here's our first look at this. And I got to put this up there. Quentin Whipple joining us this morning. Look, NBA is terrible. So low quality with weak players and pansy-esque attitudes. 80s and 90s players will destroy these players of today. Travel, carry, flop, and no touchy fouls. I quit on the NBA 10 years ago. Look, I'm hanging in there with the league, but I totally get it. And it's funny when you talk about, I think the travel is a big thing. When you talk about guys who used to play, you would go to the airport when I was a kid I didn't fly on a plane until I went to my official visit to Richmond. That was my first plane trip. But like you could still go to the airport in like 1994. I don't think it was 94 actually. So I guess I'm going on secondhand information, but you would go to the airport in the early 90s or late 80s, and you would see 7'2" guys walking through the airport getting ready to get on a commercial plane. And if that guy is not a veteran, he's sitting in coach. I mean, that's crazy when you think about some of the flights. And those guys today don't deal with that. So the travel is just one little wrinkle as to why the NBA and some of the players are not getting the public's empathy for just how tough they have it. But the truth is they need to shorten the schedule. They need to take drastic measures to fix the NBA right now. And the one thing I can say, because we talked about this yesterday, where I said the only thing that could save the NBA and All-Star Weekend, and honestly, Cam, we'll talk about this in a second, but or in our next segment. But I think maybe if they have rescued Nancy Guthrie and she's they're taking care of her now. She's kind of in like a resort situation. And then they can bring her out during like the dunk contest or maybe the middle of the All-Star game. And I think maybe that could save All-Star Weekend. Outside of that, I got nothing for you. I got nothing for you. Okay, let's begin. And it does, by the way. It costs about $1,000 to take people to a game, right? And this is the last one. We'll go from my boy Quinn. It cost me $1,000 to take 6 people to a Suns game in the last row. Yeah, that's a bummer, dude. That's a bummer. And one thing real quick, Scotty B's in here. Tang is a victim of success in the first year, just like Sonny Dykes of TCU football. That's not a bad call. Scotty B. All right, look, I got to get to this serious story. So last night, I'm hanging out and I was having a little dinner with Christy, and she has had a tough time at work. A lot of stuff going on at work. I'm just trying to be like a strong support guy, but she is the woman's in charge of a lot. She's got a lot going on, and it's funny. Like I'm not in charge of really anything. And I kind of run from that. Like, I don't want to be the boss. I just don't. Some people are. You carry a lot, man. You carry a lot. And so she was venting this morning to me about everything going on. And I've been doing a better job of just biting my tongue because, I want to say, hey, look, it's the Bill Parcells thing. When you're in charge of something, I have a lot of Bill Parcells stuff I lean on, which is probably why I'm so screwed up. But if you're the head coach, if you're boss, if you're in charge, right? Every morning, you should expect 3 to 5 things to go sideways. Like that is an expectation to get your because this is what I do. I wake up every morning and I'm zippity doo dah until the first dude cuts me off, and then I'm like, can't believe this. Like if you're really an executive and you're somebody who manages people are going to go crazy. Right. So there's 3 to 5 things that you should probably bake in that are going to go wrong. Right. I didn't tell her that, though. I just listened. Okay. Listen to this. Serious story. BYU's Parker Kingston this morning is in jail, and he's being held without bond. This is a guy who, and I'm just going to get the football stuff out of the way. And I do want to say, look, we're about to talk about sexual assault and crimes of that nature, and I know it sucks for a lot of people, and it can bring up some weird and emotion. So I want to say that and be respectful of this. But Parker Kingston's 21 years old. Football stuff first. This guy was a huge part of BYU's success last year. Not that that matters in a situation like this, but I do want to give this context. 66 catches, 965 yards, 5 touchdowns receiving. He had 23 rushes for about 23 yards. Not about, I have it right here exactly. And 3 rushing touchdowns, also an explosive kick returner. Had a big, at least one return that I remember he popped off for like a 60-yard touchdown. And this story takes on a whole nother life of its own because Parker Kingston was at BYU's last home game. And they put him up on the big screen, and he has this woman next to him put up, it's his fiance, and they're showing off their engagement. She has an engagement ring on. So, and anybody that's ever been engaged, myself, Cam, like recently within the last year, that's a really special, exciting moment. But that was Saturday, and late Wednesday night, Parker Kingston is in a jail in Washington County, in Utah, after being arrested. And he was arrested and charged with first-degree, let me get this right, first-degree felony assault. And like I said, he's being held without bail, which gives you an idea how serious this charge is. Now, the incident took place in late February of 2025, so almost exactly a year ago. I think it's important to highlight because, if you're a BYU fan or a Big 12 fan or a Big 12 employee like I am, or somebody that calls these games for ESPN or whatever network, you have a responsibility, I think, to get to know these guys and to give them a chance, right? And to see both sides of it. But right now, this is so serious. And I have so few of the, I have some details that I'll share with you, but I'm not going to pretend like I'm a legal expert. I am somewhat of a football expert, right? Which is why I can tell you that last year, expert might be pushing it, but I'm a football guy, okay? And last year, Jake Retzlaff, he was mired in a civil suit, okay? So the difference there is, Jake Retzlaff was never arrested. He was never charged criminally, and or at least I don't think he was, but I'm almost positive the whole thing was a civil suit, and he was never charged criminally. I'm almost 99 to 100% sure about that. And ultimately, he was going to be suspended 7 games by BYU for breaking the honor code, at which point in time, he more than the school, decided just to separate, and he goes to Tulane. And I say that to say, when things like this come out, we can be prisoners of the moment. We have not heard at all what Parker Kingston's side is. But what we do know is that the St. George Police, they gathered digital and forensic evidence and put it before the Washington County DA, and the Washington County DA reviewed this evidence for over a year and filed these first-degree felony sexual assault charges. So this is not a fly-by-night operation. This is clearly something that has been on that level and to some degree vetted by legal experts. So this is a very serious thing. And of course, man, you worry about the victim's mentality, the victim's mental health. And you also want to hear what Parker Kingston has to say about all this. The next step is, I think he's going to be arraigned Friday, which is tomorrow. He's 21 years of age. And I think for the BYU faithful, the one thing that I would say, being a former college athlete, right? I always have to, I didn't play, I had a heart problem. They put me out there for media day for 2 years in a row because we weren't sure if I was going to play or not. The picture's right there. That's me, by the way, if you're curious. And I was around, I worked with the team my whole time in college, 4 years at Richmond. They kept me on scholarship. I was embedded, you could say. I saw it all, heard it all. And then, working in the NBA as a PR guy for a team, and that's a much smaller group of guys. But when you look at the league at a whole, that's hundreds of guys. The one thing I want to say to people around BYU and the church and people that have a real heavy heart around this today, and I know this because of some of the work that I've done before. And this is not, I'm not saying any of this is okay. I'm not saying it's a really ugly, dark situation, but there's more than 100 guys on BYU's football team, right? More than 100 guys on most Division I football teams all across the country. Okay. Now, if you look at statistics, and the statistics, I have a survey here by U.S. News and World Report, right? That I looked up this morning because I'd known this. I wanted a refresher. And 4% to 16%, right? Between 4 and 16% of men in college admit to some degree of sexual assault over the course of their time as a co-ed. And that is a scary, ugly, jarring statistic that I hope we can continue to improve and shine a light on all of this terrible stuff that goes on with sexual assault. But I want to say this is not a knock on BYU, the football program, or the athletic department. I hate to say this because I know BYU holds itself to a much higher standard, and I think that the university has done very well by that. We have the athletes that have come through. I've spent a lot of time out there, called a lot of basketball games out there, and a lot of really, really good people out there. This is not a reflection of BYU, the university. I think it's more a reflection of young human beings and the human condition, regardless of how extreme this mistake was. Because if this proves to be true, there are going to be serious consequences for this guy. He'll go to prison, and that's really scary. But I just want to shift the focus. If anybody's thinking, oh, what's going on at BYU? Don't start there. Okay. I want you to start with what's going on in society, right? Like, let's not make this about a particular school, because that's not what it is. Okay. This is about transgressions that are made and are terribly wrong, but that happen in society. And all I can say is now, like, as far as anybody, the wheels of justice are starting to move, right? It's like a cliche, it's an old term, but like, that's what's starting to happen now. And we will continue to learn more about this situation. The steward for BYU, Brian Santiago, over the athletic department, Kalani Sitake over the football team. You really couldn't have two more impressive and stand-up guys in charge of the whole situation. And I there's really not much more you can say about it. This could be another situation where, I read the football stats, but I don't even think I don't even care about the football side of it right now. Will he play again? Will he not? This is bigger than what's BYU going to do about a wide receiver and a kick returner. So we'll save that for a later date. But I did want to give this story the real estate on this show that it deserves, because it's really serious. It's a guy that's, obviously has had a real fruitful career at BYU, particularly the last year playing in the Big 12. I've talked about him ad nauseum as a football player on this show. And I do think like the real weird turn, and one of the things that became like the guy who produces our Big 12 show, Inside the 12, which by the way, we're filming today in a brand new studio at the PGA facility in Plano, or Frisco. I'm sorry, Frisco. Let me get that right, dude. I like am the worst at this stuff. I don't want to screw that up, because I can screw a lot of stuff up. So give me 1 second. Yeah, the show is in Frisco. PGA Studios in Frisco. So we're going to be in Frisco today. So I'm super excited for that. But I got a text from our producer showing me this story last night, which made me very not excited. So we'll continue to follow this and give it, just give it the real estate it needs here on this show. And, hoping and praying for everybody involved, that it's all good. Yeah. And a quick update. Our boy Quint Whipple weighing in. Yeah, it was the Retzlaff, as he says, is confirming was all civil, right? And there were allegations that the young woman was searching for a payday, but we can't prove that or whatever. But the whole thing was kicked out, right? It was totally retracted. And that was just a terrible situation. It turned out to be that was totally consensual, but the sexual aspect of it moved Retzlaff away from BYU. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to lighten the mood a little bit, talk about how to save the NBA All-Star Weekend. We've already told you that's difficult. I've given my spiel on it. It's more than anything, I'm interested to hear what Cam has to say. One other guest that we were trying to get today. I messaged our buddy Jenna Van Geitenbeek. Baylor women's basketball has a huge game tonight on the mothership, ESPN, and they play TCU. And I was like, Jenny, you got to come on and talk with me about the game. I didn't say that. I was like, it's a game day. It's a huge day. I was like, anytime from 9 to 11. And she said they had a meeting from 9 to 11. And I said, maybe next time when I reach out to you, I'll make sure it's like the day, the Sunday you guys are playing in the Final Four. I'll find the next huge game day. But we'll get Jana back on here soon. She's doing a hell of a job, and we'll definitely be checking out that game tonight. All right, the Pete Sousa Show presented by Slovacic's back after this.
Bubble allows you to make it real and for it to actually work. So I feel like Bubble bridges that gap and being able to give people the opportunity to make their ideas come to life really quickly too. I love that I can sit down and build something the way that I think it should be built and have the control over it.
Bubble turns ideas into fully scalable apps. Try Bubble today.
Save big during the Start Something New sales event at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Waco. Drive a new Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab with $13,000 off or choose 0% financing. Get a new Laramie Crew Cab 4-wheel drive with 3.9% financing for 72 months plus $15,000 off MSRP. Explore in a new Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo starting at $31,990. Happening now at Allen Samuels.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Hi, I'm Jo from Face Theory. You're going to want to have a specific goal for your skincare routine. What do you want to achieve? Active ingredients are really strong, and if you're using too many at once, your skin can get overwhelmed. Don't overspend on products. Choose products that have scientific research behind them. At Face Theory, if you're not happy with a product, just say so, just give us a shout and we'll give you your money back, no problem.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone and then you're gonna use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. Tailor the colors, fonts, and design to match your brand and seamlessly integrate with your WordPress website. Whether it's for events or appointments, Amelia makes booking simple, stylish, and perfectly aligned with your business. Enhance your booking experience today at WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
BadCreditLoans.com is a pioneering service provider that has carved a reputation in the financial industry for its dedication to helping individuals with bad credit secure loans. By making timely repayments, borrowers can gradually repair their credit history, thereby increasing their chances of securing better loan terms in the future. BadCreditLoans.com serves as a beacon of hope for those with bad credit. Simple, fast, and reliable loan application process. And its commitment to responsible borrowing makes it a trusted partner in the journey towards financial stability.
All right, the Pete Sousa Show. I think I fixed a couple things here logistically over the break. I was really washed out. I'm like the worst studio guy. It's like every day there's another wrinkle here, which I try to like make this thing a little better. But part of that is because I'm like functionally special. Truly, I am in certain regards. Like I can talk a little bit and stuff, but like even setting things up, like lefty loosey, righty tighty. Like I swear to God, I work hard, but like so I am like functionally really bad at that stuff. I just am, but I'm not going to quit. That's the thing. I'll never quit. I'll just keep working and making it worse and probably make it look a little odder. Cam, let's bring you in right now. Quick conversation. First of all, what's going on on Wicked Boston, dude?
So we've got no show today because we're doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday now. Big potential guest tomorrow. We're doing a lot of Olympic hockey talk. And
there's a lot of buzz around this next guest, Cam.
Let's just say local guy. He's won a gold medal. Big time name in the history of Olympic hockey. Let's just say that. It's something to look forward to on the Wicked Boston Show tomorrow, barring final confirmation. Pete, you know I didn't have final confirmation.
I know, but I think it's worth sharing. I think it's worth sharing and talking about. I'm pretty excited about it.
The outlook looks good. I'll just say that.
All right, here's one question for you. Ready?
Yeah.
This is from Hoops fans. Who do you feel, they clarified, is the NBA MVP so far heading into All-Star Weekend? Thanks, Hoops fans or Hooper fans. Do you have any idea, Kim?
Man, you're going to call me a homer. You are. But look, the Celtics were supposed to be a tanking team this year, and Jaylen Brown has put them on his back. They are the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. Without Tatum, still so far, he might come back right after the All-Star break. They are legit Eastern Conference contenders. Like, they could legitimately make the NBA Finals in a year where they don't have Tatum still. They had to get rid of Porzingis, Drew Holiday, Al Horford, Luke Cornett. Jaylen Brown has taken it to a next level. He's an all-star starter, going to be first-team All-NBA. If we're talking value and MVP, which the NBA rarely does, they just like the best player. Jaylen Brown, I think, should be it. That's like legit. That's like not even just, hey, I'm the host of the Wicked Boston Show, but like if I take all these things into account.
And look, and a 30,000 foot support from 30,000 feet of your position there is like, look at the Pacers without Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
not tank. They couldn't do it. They might have tried, but yeah, you're making a great point there, Pete.
By the way, as we inch closer towards talking about the NBA All-Star game, have you seen what's going on with the tanking? Like Utah, it's not even like.
Well, by the way, to go off of that, you know, our boy Mad Dog was talking about them the other day with the whole Jaren Jackson thing, right? That's who he was talking about. He is now this morning apparently out for the season.
Jaren Jackson is.
Yeah. After that whole thing of,
I mean, and the thing about Utah is, and this is weird because it's funny. We talked about BYU a few minutes ago, and I saw Danny Ainge just a couple weeks ago. He's so visible with BYU, and he's, you know, overseeing the Jazz operation. So it's interesting. Like, we take a huge dump on these tanking teams, but then like when I find out that Danny Ainge is overseeing this tank job, I'm like, well, maybe because he's built up such great rapport, I think, with NBA fans just over, you know, decades, that it's interesting to see. Like, what do you make of that? Like, a guy like Danny Ainge, who is like, I mean, he's not the NBA logo, but Danny Ainge is the NBA is a beacon of light for the NBA for many years now. And when we complain about tanking, and it's like, oh my God, what's going on with the Jazz? This sucks, and I can't believe the NBA is infected. It's toxic. It's like Danny Ainge is the puppet master of that operation. They're already tanking, and it's not even Valentine's Day.
Yeah, he's already successfully oversaw basically 2 tanks. You know, when he first got to Boston, there was one, built it into, expedited it with his moves, but built it into the '08 championship. And then really, I mean, he is kind of the guy who set the seeds for the next Celtics championship team. So at least if you're Utah, you're thinking this is not just tanking for tanking's sake, like some teams in the NBA that you just know it's never going to be. Like the Wizards are never really going to turn it around, although the Hornets are having a good year.
They are.
So I would trust Danny Ainge. I'll say that. But this is a problem in the NBA, and I think it's probably going to and to some degree the NFL as well. Like there's just too many teams that aren't trying.
Yeah.
And there's so many things. We're going to talk about the All-Star game, obviously, but I think there's some bold things the NBA can do to stop that from happening that I don't think they're ever going to have the balls to actually do, in terms of how they do their draft picks and their lottery system and all that. But it's worse than it was 10 years ago. It's worse than it was 20 years ago. There was always some teams that would tank. But this is ridiculous, Pete. Like half the league is trying to not win, is not trying to be a playoff team, even though half the teams make the playoffs. You know, some of them are going to fall backwards into a playoff spot.
Well, and the next thing is somebody's going to tank a play-in game, and that's going to get super ugly.
Yes, which we've come close to. Really,
yeah.
Teams tanking the final couple games to not get in the play-in. Like that's you're right. That's what's next.
What would you give? I mean, and this is the issue, I think, and we could look back. I mean, I could be long gone when history really speaks to this, but is Adam Silver just is he a weak commissioner? Like none of this would have happened on David Stern's watch. I'm sorry. He gave us a body of work that showed that this would have not, he wouldn't have tolerated this. Like he would not have tolerated public opinion on his product being so bottom of the barrel low right now. He wouldn't have, and he would have made some changes.
He would have sent his star player to go play baseball for a couple years. No, I think you're exactly right. And not that he was disrespected during his tenure as the commissioner of the league, but it does feel like Adam Silver has given good PR to David Stern posthumously, you know, and you see how he really kind of built that league into what it is, the machine that it is today. Yeah, Adam Silver's a lackey, man. Like he just is. And to some degree you have to be as a commissioner. You're working for the owners, but
yeah,
nothing. He's never going to really put his foot down. The only time he put his foot down was, quite frankly, for the easiest thing you could put your foot down for in the NBA with Donald Sterling. Like,
yeah, I was about to say that was a layup, dude.
Yeah, like that was so easy, and
you got off to a great start.
Banned for life, and
you got off to a great start, dude.
You're gonna get nothing but applause for that, right? Like,
but by the way, that was 12 years ago.
Yeah,
like, so
yeah. I was gonna say it was 2014. So
it's been a while. All right, so let's move. I'm curious. I got a couple written down here, a couple new reasons, but give me your one way to improve NBA All-Star Weekend. If there was one way. Excuse me.
I struggled with this, Pete. I did, because my real suggestion I would give to the NBA, which I give to the NFL with the Pro Bowl, is just to not do it. I just don't think that there's enough of an upside for it anymore. As a fan, as a consumer, I haven't watched the game in years, but in the spirit of this question and this competition, I did think about this long and hard. And I'm going to say I got my inspiration from Reddit on what would be a good solution here. And it's
always a great place to go for inspiration or medical advice. That's always
that's a good one. Or if you want to purchase goods, you know, it's a good trades place. But this is not the perfect solution, but I love the one of let's do almost like a spring football game point system. Okay. Like your 2-point shots are worth 2. Your 3-point shots are worth 3. We're going to keep that in there. But what about 4 points for a clean block shot, or 3 points for a steal, you know, or you know what I mean? And maybe you subtract a point for a foul, which is a double-edged sword, because then you're going to get no one playing any defense in theory. But if we add some
nobody's going to give a shit, Cam. Nobody's going to care about. Honestly, I'm going to tell you this. You're a bright guy. You're edgy. You're smart. None of that that would not change a thing. There wouldn't. And here's my point about this whole conversation. And I want you to talk more about your idea.
Yeah, it's about it. I mean,
but I think we are in a place where like anything that's not extreme is like and it goes to your first point, which is really where sanity weighs in. You should just scrap the whole thing. But I guess they make a lot of money. They must make a lot of money off it, right? So like,
I guess because like I looked into the Pro Bowl a lot the last couple of weeks, and like they're experiencing like their lowest viewerships ever. For that, like they're losing out to NFL on Fox post-game shows. Like they're getting crushed. So I'm wondering if the NBA is experiencing the same thing, especially like this year with the Olympics going on. I don't know how much that divides your audience, but like
it's a great point, dude. I think it probably does.
Like
I think it probably does. And I think another thing too to take into consideration, and this is crazy time. Well, that's another. I'm kind of regressing, but look, it's scary to think that, by the way, they were talking about expansion. Now they may talk about expansion again. It's like back on the table this All-Star weekend. And that's some of the stuff they do to generate buzz around the All-Star game is like, hey, let's go ahead and get people excited about what's happening around it. Right. Including the possibility that we might get teams in Vegas and Seattle. Like that's interesting in the moment. That'll get you a ton of pop, but like the owners are dead set against it. James Dolan's like leading a charge against it. And by the way, the fans might want to be dead set against it too, because as cool as it would be, and Seattle does deserve a team, but the league sucks now. Exactly. So you're going to have two more teams that suck on fire
until you can figure that out.
Yeah.
Until you can, because the NHL is trying to do the same thing. I'm like, there's too many bad teams. You're watering down the talent pool too much. Like, and we are seeing that. It's not we're gonna see that. We are seeing that. NFL has pulled off 32, and they've pulled it off pretty well. I don't think the NBA or the NHL could do that. I really don't.
Yeah, I agree. Now here are my ways. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, my ways suck too. I got 100,000. You give a player, every player that makes a three, you get $100,000. Okay. And they can, 100K for every three. All right.
Well, how is that going to change what the All-Star game is like right now? Isn't it just a bunch of threes?
Here's the thing. I think people will watch. If you know that a guy is getting 100K every now, and smart guys would, guys would donate it to charity. Right.
Yeah.
So that's something to think about, right? Like, so that's just something that I don't know. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. Because right now, truth be told, I don't understand it. Like yesterday, I made and I'm ashamed that I made the admission that I didn't know who Luke Kennard was. I went back and I remembered I did know who Luke Kennard was, but I'd forgotten about Luke Kennard. I got a little crap about that, but whatever. He's probably because he's a Duke guy, but was he that good at Duke?
He played 1 year. He had a buzzer beater against Wake, I think, or Georgia Tech, one of those. He was a good player.
Okay.
First round pick, but who isn't? That goes to Duke. You know what I mean?
All right, take it easy.
I'm surprised he's still in the league.
Yeah.
Just 10 years ago.
Me too. Again, I'd literally forgotten he existed. Okay, so here's another one I have that's not bad. You do the guys 28 and younger versus the guys 28 and older. And I think you can something like similar to what Nick Wright said about the white guys.
By the way, which might be the best idea. You obviously can't do it, but I do understand his argument there. I do.
I mean, it's hilarious, dude.
Yeah.
Because anybody with a lot of like black friends or people in there, like the black guys would be like, we're not letting these guys be us, dude.
Like, no way.
Dude, they would be like, no way. Like, no. And I think it will be hilariously intense. I have goosebumps even thinking about the idea.
Like if we as fans could all take it like as something fun and
funny, but it would,
it would be great. But obviously, like, there's just no way that can happen.
Crazy idea, by the way. Nick Wright's idea. Okay, like Nick Wright is in a situation, and he can say stuff like that. First of all, I don't believe that, and I won't say it. All right, I did say it though. Okay, so here's my favorite one. And I came up with this on my own. Okay. Each team. Do you remember the video Like, and look, I know we get pretty transparent and honest on this, but Joe Rogan shared this video last year, okay? And it was late last year, and it was like an AI robot that was like security somewhere, and it kind of spazzed out on someone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And it was one of those moments where we were all like, whoa, like it felt like the Terminator or something like that.
iRobot,
Like,
yeah.
so each team gets one AI robot that has to be on the floor at all times. At all times. And as far as we know, this is a law-abiding AI robot, right? But like, and it will, they can tailor it so it has skills. It can catch, it can shoot. And look, if Victor Wembanyama wants to take the ball out of the guy's hand and bang it off his head and go the distance and dunk, like, let's do it. But like, I think that people would watch for that. Each team has one AI droid that is a law-abiding droid, but hey, we're not sure if this droid gets pissed. We don't know what can happen, you know. And everybody signs a waiver that if the droid were to attack them or physically harm them, they would get $1 billion, and they'd have
so much money.
Yeah. Like, that's not a bad idea.
I kind of love it.
Yeah,
I kind of love this idea. I'm even thinking of things in my brain of like, can he be some sort of like remote controlled and like someone on the bench, like one of the players that's on the bench.
This is why they get people like you and I in a room together to figure this stuff out. You just furthered the idea. Yeah.
And you can have some fun with it, right? Like I think in your sense here, we're not trying to make the game serious and more intense necessarily, but just adding a good entertainment fodder for it. So like, you have, like
what if
Wemby's not in the game, but he's controlling the droid, and then
he won't shoot though. He won't shoot layups in traffic. Like, that would be amazing.
Like Kevin Hart is doing it for 5 minutes. Dave Portnoy is doing it for a couple of minutes. Some Make-A-Wish kid is doing it. So I think that could be really fun. Like, if we're not going to make it more intense, at least let's make it more fun. I think that could work.
I think so, man. I think that's a pretty good call. All right. That's it for the NBA and All-Star Weekend. Again, man, hey, thank you guys so much for being a part of this and joining the conversation. I guess we'll do the Jerome Tang real quick because I got to get to this new studio. So Kansas State lost last night by 30 points at home to Cincinnati. Okay. Now, look, this is an ugly situation, what's going on here at Kansas State. I had 2 of their games this season, and it's interesting. The first game I had was when they played Seton Hall in Kansas. It was an ESPN game. And if you remember, at that time, Kansas, you don't remember, so I'll tell you. Kansas was like 10-2, or Kansas State was like 10-2. And Seton Hall was like playing very well, especially for a team that had only won 7 games last year. I think they were like 9-1, right, when they met. This is December 4th. Championship, a college football championship Saturday. Like Big 10 championship, Big 12 championship. So, and that was the game where, if you remember, Shaheen Holloway was in the huddle and he was like, these guys are soft. Like, and I remember thinking like, whoa, because it kind of went viral. And having called that game, first of all, you never want to say, as somebody who's been around athletics, you don't want to say guys are soft or guys quit. That's just like, you don't go there unless you're in the, I mean, even if you're calling a teammate out, it's just bad news, right? When an opposing coach says it though, there's not much you can do. And you think, okay, like as somebody who had just been a spectator and calling the game right there courtside, I was like, maybe these guys are a little soft. So then I had BYU, Kansas State and UCF probably 3 weeks ago. And it was the same deal. It just like, they got guys. PJ Haggerty is awesome. And I think at the end of the day, this was a massive misevaluation of talent and team assessment by Coach Tang and whoever else is making those personnel decisions at Kansas State. They threw a bag at PJ Haggerty. And again, another piece of close personal context I have, I had the opportunity and the great fortune of interviewing Coach Tang and PJ for NBC at Big 12 Media Days. And like, so that is the most interesting. Like, I'm talking to Coach Tang and he is so excited. He thinks PJ Haggerty's the best point guard in the country. This is what he's telling me. He's a much better passer than people know. And PJ Haggerty's talking to me. I came here because of Jerome Tang. I mean, the smile is like 1,000,000 watts. You know, again, this is like November, okay? But it is like Kansas State. We are going to be awesome this year. And I was like, wow, PJ Haggerty's a bucket, right? So I'm like, man, these guys, because I know the way that Coach Tang likes to construct his teams. And the problem is that's where the questions lie. Because nobody knows how Coach Tang likes to construct his teams, because every year it's different. Like, so there's no, and I think this is an issue with the transfer portal and NIL that I think will start to affect some of these coaches. A lot of teams are losing their DNA. Like a lot of teams are, that's the difference between college and the pros right now, by the way. Like you go to play a game at BYU, like you kind of know the brand of basketball they're going to play. You know, you go to play the Phoenix Suns on any given, like different, like 2-3 year period, like it's going to be totally different. Even a school like UNT right up the road here, right? Like their DNA, the way that they like to assemble their team, regardless of the coach, is like, we're going to hire a guy that plays, that has a team that plays gritty D, right? They play tough D. And that means that, and that's their number one priority. So we're going to be competitive across the board. You had that with Ross Hodge, right? You have it now with Danielle Robinson, and you of course had it with Grant McCaslin before. So like you see that in college with Kansas State. Like I don't know who they are, and I know Jerome Tang is a great man and a great coach, but the bottom is falling out. And these are moments, by the way, like I have seen this happen before many times, where a coach is beleaguered and he's got that look where his skin is almost gray, because these guys eat, breathe it, and sleep it. Okay. It's all they think about. And that is the gift and the curse of being a coach. When you're winning, it's all you think about and you're rejuvenated. And it's like, how are we going to win tomorrow? When you're losing, it's all you think about and you don't think about anything else, and you don't sleep and you barely eat. And your wife is like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? This was probably a bad decision. Like it goes that deep. Okay. So we're looking at a man right now who is staring into the abyss. It really is on a human level, quite the compelling situation. And every time Coach Tang meets the media, it's another, it's become now, I truly feel like, and I love this about Coach Tang, it's almost like a therapy session. Like he's not, I don't think he's selling anybody a bill of goods. He is being truly authentic in the moment about how he feels. And I cannot take him to task for that. And honestly, I wanted to message my man at Kansas State, or even message like King. I'm going to see King McClure today. I almost, because Coach Tang and I know each other like distant, but he would know my face if he saw me, and he knows I call games, and he knows I'm the guy that calls games and is from Waco. I want to send him a message and be like, dude, like I'm not like anybody would care. I don't want to say that, like he wouldn't care, but like I believe in him. I believe he can turn this around. I believe that if it's not at Kansas State, it's another university, or in a different scenario, he could be at the mountaintop. I truly believe that. But right now, he's at the bottom, right? Like as far as like records and the feeling he has every day. And so this is what he said last night to the media. We're going to play this 2-minute segment, and because it's worth all 2 minutes. So you guys, Cam, take it away. Jerome Tang.
Gonna honor Christ,
this is after their loss to Cincinnati.
like I always do. Blessed to do this, but this was embarrassing. These dudes do not deserve to wear this uniform. There will be very few of them in it next year. I'm embarrassed for the university. I'm embarrassed for our fans, our student section. You know, it is just ridiculous. We got practice at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, and we will get this thing right. I have no answer, no words. So y'all got 2 questions. So whoever want to ask 2 questions, I'll answer them to the best of my ability right now. But right now, like I'm like pissed, and this is All right, questions?
This guy talks about why they play well on the road and why they're bad at home. Because this was a home loss.
I asked the staff this week that same question, and they said that more the opponents. You play. I don't know, because I followed Minnesota last year closely, and they played great on the road and struggled at home. So then they started staying in hotels at home, like treating it like a road game. And so I even talked about, hey, do we need to change that change? But no, none of that crap matter, man. These dudes got to have some. They got some pride, man. They got some pride. It means something to wear a K-State uniform. It means something to put on this purple, man. Our everything this university is about and all that it's been about. Why I love this place, man. They don't love this place, so they don't deserve to be here.
Last question about the bags on the heads. Listen.
Just what did you make of the student section with paper bags on their heads?
Yeah, I'd wear a paper bag too if I was them. Thanks a lot, fellas. God bless.
Okay, so I did appreciate the end of that. And there's one thing that and in the moment, you got to understand, as somebody who used to do PR, you go to get these coaches. That job sucks on nights like last night. You have to go into the coach's locker room after the game and be like, you got to take them to, first of all, in college, you don't have to do this in the NBA, but in college, you got to take them back out to the scores table to do a home radio, right? Whew. And then you got to take them into that media room, which some coaches on the road they won't go. They won't go in there. They're like, I'm not going in there. Whatever. And that's up to the PR guy to figure that out. But last night, you get him. And Coach Tang, by the way, is an honorable guy. So he's always there with answers. And he should be. That's his job. But so that job's impossible to begin with. But so you wrangle the coach, you bring him out there. And there's nothing, if you have a tremendous relationship with the coach, he may ask you, well, what do you think? And sometimes that is when, and that's these PR guys are they're needles in a haystack now, folks. But a trusted, grizzled PR guy that could actually help a coach through a situation like that, they're few and far between on the planet anymore. I can tell you Kansas State has one, but does Jerome Tang lean on that or dip into that? I have no idea. But so there are stuff that come out of these coaches' mouths that you got to understand. His world is crashing around him, and now we want him to, hey, come make sense. It will basically be, and I want you to think about this, okay? Imagine getting into a huge fight with your significant other. Huge, right? Knockdown, drag out, okay? And then after that fight, somebody grabs you and says, hey, how about that? What did you think about when she told you that you're nowhere near holding up your end of the bargain, getting ready for this wedding? And you gotta answer. It's and you've just been eviscerated, right? Because in my situation, those debates and those encounters are usually 30-point blowouts. I'm on the losing end, right? So it's so if people were to ask me hey, how about when you really fired back unnecessarily and overshot the mark when you were asked a simple question? It's and maybe you go off. So there was something that Coach Tang got wrong there. But you can understand how he got it wrong. And that was the point where it's these guys don't deserve to. I'm not even going to say they deserve to be here, but they don't love Cam. Of course they don't, dude. They just got it. They've been here for 5 minutes. They barely had a cup of coffee. How are they going to embody the mission of Kansas State sports when they're hired guns? These PJ Haggerty is a great kid on a mission to make the NBA. And he was hoping that Kansas State and he could have a mutually beneficial relationship to get there. But he doesn't bleed purple. Let's not get it totally twisted. So, Cam, anything on that? I do want to ask you one thing before we get out of here. And I think it's because you have a pretty good context on this. When is your last memory? And by the way, we didn't even mention, a member of his staff got arrested for sexual assault earlier in the week, earlier this week.
Mhm.
And somebody on that staff that is near and dear to his heart, a young man that he has helped develop over the years. So Coach Tang's got a ton going on right now. But do you remember a program with a coach that you liked and pulled for kind of crashing out like this? If there's one you can remember, even if it's a pro team in recent history.
And yeah,
I'm putting you on the spot.
I can't really think of one in terms of like one that's not my team, but I'm pulling for
Anybody. Yeah. Anybody.
Yeah.
You know?
Because like I think of like Baylor football.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. And like I do want Dave Aranda to be successful. I do like him at the end of the day, but I've also had plenty of issues and I don't think he should be the coach. But in terms of this question, I don't know if I can think of one quite like Tang. You know, I grew up a big Duke fan, so some of those Duke guys branched out and weren't really successful. You know, Capel at Oklahoma.
Quinn Snyder crashed out, but it was kind of behind the scenes almost.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a
I
good
mean, they
point.
literally
He said
sent him to
anywhere.
Siberia.
Right.
I mean, that's literally coached in Russia for like 2-3 years to get it back.
And like Dawkins wasn't successful at Stanford, Amaker at Michigan, but like not like this. This is like bad. I mean, Pete, they're wearing paper bags over their head. Like,
yeah,
I guess Dave Bliss was
Scotty B. Shots fired.
Maybe a different kind of crash out.
Yeah,
I think it's fair to say.
No, the paper bags, and you know what I thought? I really did think, what clever students. Like, you kind of got to dip into the history books to know that. Like, that's late 70s Saints.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's like, you got to have a little bit of a sense of history to know to do that. So I did think that was sort of cool. And it does tell you Kansas State fans really give a crap. They do. A lot of people are still going to those games. You know?
Yeah, they have a standard, man.
Yeah.
They have a standard, and Kansas State's not living up to it. And what's funny is like the other team that I was thinking about, like a Big 12 school that had just reached these lows that you're like, how the heck did they get there? Was Kansas State. Like 5-6 years ago, the last years of Bruce Weber, they were horrible. Iowa State too for a year or two.
Great
Remember
call,
that?
Steve Prom, his last year.
Yes. That was one of the COVID years. And
2-22, they were.
Yeah,
they were 2-22 last year, and then they hired Otzelberger, and he goes right to the Sweet 16. Now, and I think that's what Kansas State fans are looking forward to. I'll be curious to see what happens, because this has become such a sour taste in the mouth of everybody. And again, like I always say this term, but we are prisoners of the moment right now. You know, Kansas State could rattle off 3 in a row, and I'm not saying they'll go to the NCAA tournament, but there'll be a lot of goodwill. You know, you just don't know. You know, you think he'll be back next year?
No.
Okay.
But the buyout becomes a huge question. That's what everyone in
18 million bucks.
It's just too much of a buyout.
The one kid had on the bag, if I had $18 million, I know what I'd do with it.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Pete, as we were talking about this, you know what other college basketball program I was thinking of? And I saw this last night on Twitter, and I just said, wow, how this program has fallen. I haven't even thought about this program in a handful of years now. But I saw a video of the Carrier Dome for Syracuse's home game last night. Holy crap, Pete.
Yeah.
It was like 20% full. Syracuse, and it was. I knew
there's
you'd
only
love
one
this.
situation. Can you tell me one situation that's worse? And it's
Right
same
now?
era, right now, comparatively, same era when the place was jumping to right now.
Georgetown.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And Georgetown
to a
was in
lesser
the Final
degree,
Four.
Pitt and Boston College. I
Yeah.
think too, but obviously to a much lesser degree than these two.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's good. Syracuse is really, it's a really ugly situation. You know, and Georgetown, I don't know if they'll ever get it back. I think Syracuse, if they get it going again, but Georgetown went to the Final Four in 2007. Now that's a long time ago, but it's not like, I don't know, 100 years ago, you know?
Yeah. It's not DePaul, right?
No.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
to your point, I saw someone had tweeted it out in looking at the Syracuse crowd, and they said, Syracuse, Pitt, BC, they all sold their soul for football and they're not relevant. None of them are relevant in football. They sold their soul. They they broke up the Big East, and had the greatest basketball conference, had some of the greatest basketball programs. I mean, even my day growing up, Pete, which wasn't that long ago, like Big Monday, Super Tuesday, and it was, I knew everything that was going on in the Big East, and I didn't have a dog in that fight.
Stevie Thompson, a kid from Compton, California, right?
Yeah,
goes to school in Syracuse to play for Jim Boeheim. And one of the guys I call games with, he was from California, and so he knew Stevie. He played at Arizona. His name's escaping me right now. Matt is his first name. So Stevie, he was like, why the hell did you go to Syracuse? Like, Matt's in the Bay Area, Stevie's in SoCal. They're playing at like a California All-Star game. Stevie was like, Big Monday, man. Big Monday. Like, that was it, dude.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Like, even 15 years ago, man. Andy Routen's at Syracuse, Scotty Reynolds at Nova, Luke Herringody at Notre Dame, DeJuan Blair at Pitt. Like, I watch these guys all the time, man. Twice a week I was watching these guys play because it was appointment viewing. And that tournament, obviously, I'm not the first to say this, was appointment television.
Yeah.
And that's how we've gotten there from Kansas State. But it just shows you, like, some of these other programs that just, they fall down, and you do wonder with the Georgetowns of the world if they'll ever get back. You know, Kansas State should be able to bounce back in a
another good one. So there are two other coaches in the Big 12 who are spiraling. And Bobby Hurley. Bobby Hurley's I Give No F's tour is amazing. Somebody tweeted that recently, and they had the video of some poor media members asking Bobby Hurley about rebounding, and Bobby just takes him to church. You know, it's rough, dude. Like, it is. Like, so Arizona State's another one.
That recently, can't believe. Yeah. But in Tad, was that last night or the night before?
Tad Boyle was last night. I'm sorry for the state of
night, man. He's like, I'm sorry to the state of Colorado, and Jerome Tang just won up some a couple hours later. Like, these guys don't deserve to wear the uniform. Like,
another one who was kind of crashing out, and this is the last thing we'll get out of here, is Penny Hardaway, Scotty B. But Penny's kind of I have a game at Memphis in 2 weeks. I can't wait to see what it's like. I'm excited.
He's like one of the very few sports icons in Memphis. Like, it's not a great sports town.
No.
But Penny is their guy. And it's kind of undeniable that it is not working. And that's crashing and burning big time. That's a good point, Scotty B. Memphis.
Yo, this show's working, man. I felt great. What a great show. Cam, thank you so much. A lot of gratitude for everybody that jumped in the comments. We'll be back tomorrow. Honestly, I think it's been so fun. Truly, like, I love calling games, and having a midweek game is always the best. But at the same time, it has been really enjoyable to kind of reconnect with everybody on a consistent basis, going 10 a.m. Central Time every day this week. And I can tell you, for everybody that's hanging in there with us now and is being flexible with the schedule as it goes, you know, this won't last forever. Once basketball season ends, we'll be every day, 10 a.m. Central, you know, and we're still every day. The show is up on YouTube, right? We're live in the morning, and then the show and the segments are up there. Check them out, share them, like and subscribe. You know the deal. We're almost to 100,000 subscribers. And you know, we just want to welcome more people under the tent. 365 Sports is doing a terrific job welcoming us under the tent. We want to welcome you under the tent, and keep it rocking and rolling. Make sure you check out Cam's show. A huge guest coming on today. I don't think you can't overstate that. One of the biggest guests of all time.
Tomorrow. But thank you, Pete.
It'll be tomorrow. He's taping it today. You got it. Yeah, okay, we did that. Okay. All right, folks, we will see you tomorrow.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference, because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is Stark.
Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com.
Our professionals are not only experts in managing urgent concerns, but also in providing top-notch preventative health care. We're proud to connect pet owners to a vast network of licensed veterinary professionals, ready to address any immediate concerns. Book your first appointment today.